Today on Soul Singer Discovers, we're going to be rediscovering the band Cradle of Filth. If your cradle is in fact filled with filth, that's quite normal actually. Babies are disgusting, but this isn't about babies, this is about metal. Let's do it. Welcome back to another Soul Singer Discovers. I hope you're well. If you're not, what the fuck is your problem? Maybe you haven't had a nap. You should have a nap. Watch this first though.
Our residents are trying to nap.
Today, we're rediscovering Cradle of Filth. Now, I've done Cradle of Filth the grand total of once on this channel. Many moons ago. I think it was probably maybe in the first 6 months of this channel, which feels like 100 years ago at this point. I really enjoyed it. There was a female vocalist as part of that song, and I really enjoyed her vocals so very much. Here's a little boop-a-da-doop. I do think that Danny Filth's voice is a sort of strange one. Very trebly, very screamy. So that's what I'm anticipating. Although, this is a new song. So between the one that I watched and this one, there's might even be decades of a difference. So I'm fascinated to hear how Danny's voice has matured. As all voices do. But before we get there, kids, don't forget you can go over to Spotify and you can listen to some of my original music. There's no screaming in it. Maybe there should be. I'm not one to judge. You lot definitely are. And for every stream that I get, the CEO of Spotify promises not to kick a dog of no monetary value. Thanks, Spotify. Also, why not check out my new podcast with Levi Clay? Does Metal Have Soul? We discuss your favourite bands at length, their history. What did they do? Where did they come from? How did they get to where they are now? Let me have a little listen to some of their music. Why not check it out? No pressure, but if you don't listen to it in the next 10 episodes, I will
cut Levi Clay's head off.
YouTube, if you're listening, I'm joking. It's just a joke. Calm down, Hazel. Calm down, Blanche. Okay, so, Cradle of Filth. The thumbnail for this song is terrifying, but I love horror. So, it's Cradle of Filth, To Live Deliciously, which makes me think of the goat from the film The Witch. The jury's out. Some people don't like The Witch. They said it was boring. I thought it was a great film. The acting was astonishing, and also it was deeply disturbing at points. But that fucking goat, don't get me wrong, it wasn't quite, Sam Raimi Drag Me to Hell style goat bad, but a goat being like, does thou want to live deliciously? How would you know, guy? You smell like shit. You live in straw. You don't know what living deliciously is, guy. But enough about goats, which is a sentence I'm sick of saying on this channel. This is Cradle of Filth with To Live Deliciously. Boop! Pausing. Who is the diva playing the keyboard? Who's that queen? I want to know who she is. Gorgeous. Yeah, Danny's voice still sounds like it's held up. It's still got that very weird trebly quality to it. It's like Fry, but it's very thin. And that, not thin in a bad way, just very, the tone is just thin. I'm trying to think of a better word to describe it. But then he did go into some like more low gutturals at one point. Really cool, because like I say, between this video and the one that I watched, it's got to be 20 years. It's got to be, maybe not 20 years, but a lot of time. Which I think that's one thing that's levied at metal vocals a lot. And I think it's kind of unfair, because weirdly I got something similar when I started singing. I feel that a lot of metal vocalists are told it's just screaming and eventually you'll ruin your voice and you'll not be able to sing anymore. And there are 100% metal vocalists who have done very much that. But also I do think there's technique behind everything that you're doing. So I do think that it's an unfair thing to be levied at vocals that are more distorted, that somehow they can't be done healthily. They totally can. For sure, there's a channel that I've been following recently and watching a lot of their videos. I'll put it here because I can't remember the name of it currently. But the guy that's doing a lot of the lessons is fabulous, and he talks about technique, and it's really wonderful to hear all of the different ways with which he uses distortion. But yeah, this is, so far, yes. I'm not hearing anything that's totally blowing me away, but that's okay, because I've heard a lot of metal at this point. It takes a lot to really rock my socks off. Let's keep going. Boop. Yeah, there's points where they're doubling Danny's voice and they've got like his high vocal but then another one higher above him, still him, to create almost this little like demon voice. That's a lot of what I heard in the last one. I think it's cool. I don't know if I could listen to it a lot, I think I would need dynamically lots of other things, because I think I can imagine after a time it might become, for me personally, opinion not fact, it might become a bit grating. But he seems to have more chops in this than the last one, and that's totally possible. I don't think, not every vocalist as they get older loses things. Some vocalists keep hold of what they've got, and some vocalists actually become better vocalists as they go along. I think Danny Filth should be a testament to the ability to hold on to vocals that are distorted over a long period of time. I don't need to see inside of this priest's mouth anymore. And I want to see it. I don't want to see his tongue again. No. You've made your point. Also, I would argue a little bit that you haven't made your point, because are you claiming that this is living deliciously? I disagree. There's not a plush chair or a delicious snack, apart from the keyboardist, but in anywhere. There's not a single piece of narcotic or alcohol. Live deliciously. If living deliciously means I have to look in a priest's mouth, I'm fine living blandly. I will have a bite of banality, thank you very much. Boop! sing? Well, I swear to God, I really fucking ended myself. I was like, is she sitting on his face? It's none of my business. You do what you gotta do, Barbara. But I was like, is she? I can't tell. It's all going too fast. And then she stood up and he was just jam. Listen, I'm not here to yuck anyone's yum. You do whatever you need to do. It's nothing to do with me. It did get a little bit, you know, your mother sucks cocks in hell vibe at the end there. And I'm like, Isn't that the way of it though? I fear that I have become so desensitized these days. I mean, I was watching horror films when I was far too young. And unfortunately, it just means that as time goes on, stuff like that, I'm like, oh, okay, the priest has now become a demon, is having some kind of sexual encounter with this nun, who then, you know, sits on his face and turns him into jam. It's just like, For you, it was the most historical day in your life, and for me, it was Tuesday. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, I think that this is not for me, and not because I think it's bad, just because I don't think there's anything connection. There's a couple of things in there that I really like. Harmonised guitars. I thought the guitar solo was nice. That keyboardist is a babe, and if she's singing, I'm totally into it. But I want those vocals to be further forward in the mix. I understand that that's opinion. It's not for everyone. And I also love that she was playing keyboards. But give me more of that. But I think the hook of the song, We Want to Live Deliciously, coupled with the cliched trope of the priest and the nun and all the rest of it, it all felt a bit ham sandwich to me. You know what I'm saying? And that is not a comment on Danny Filth's voice. I think if this is a true representation of what he can do live, I think his voice has aged fabulously. But all in all, there was nothing there that I was really like drawn to, like really wildly. There was nothing there that I was like, oh, I've got to hear that again. But that being said, there's still some stuff in there to recommend it. I'm being balanced because I actually think it's good. I just don't think I'll probably listen to it again. Unless they put the keyboardist at the front and they dress her like a Lord of the Rings character and let her do most of the singing. I think that's a different band. All in all, well done, Cradle of Filth. Not quite as much as I loved the first one. I really enjoyed that one. What do you guys think? Am I being unkind? Am I being unfair? I don't mind you telling me. Just don't be a dick about it, you know? Because if you're a dick about it, I'm going to be a dick back. This is something I've talked about in the comment section recently a lot. People being like, you can't be mean to me. This is YouTube. I'm like, are you serious? Yeah, it's YouTube. This isn't your local supermarket. I don't have to be nice to you. I'm not a minimum wage worker that's been told that if I don't smile, even though I'm depressed, that I'm going to lose my job. The worst thing you can do is give me a downvote, and frankly, that happens all the time. YouTube pay me, and shit you not, YouTube pay me £20 a month. £20 a month. I don't get paid enough to be nice to everybody that's been a dick to me. Don't. It's fun though. Sometimes it's fun. Not all the time. Sometimes it is. Yeah, let me know your thoughts, feelings and opinions in the comment section about this one. Mine's a mixed bag, if I'm completely honest. But that's okay. It's not always going to be the same. Thank you as always to all of you out there for continuing to like, subscribe and do all that fancy business. Thank you to my patrons. Ooh. Until next time, my dudes, if you start a metal band and you want to sing about living deliciously, that's fine. Just tell your priest to put his tongue away. It's fucking disgusting.